started recording earlier. My sister had been in here with me, making me feel a little less lonely with her presence, which is weird because we like never talk ever. She well, her and my mom both usually. They just don't really pay any attention to me. But she was in here. We were recording together. I had to scrap everything because she did a lot of name dropping of people we know in real life. Did name dropping of lots of other important details that I was like, yeah, these aren't going live. Talking about personal stuff, and I just decided, nope, that's not gonna cut it. So I'm gonna keep recording. Show you that I still haven't gotten Meteor Rain yet, but we're getting close, I think. I just need something to do. I'm lonely and not in a good enough mood to bother with Sims right now. It's hard to have a good day when you sprain your ankle and the only person you talk to is busy doing a party thing with family, and you can't get up and do other things because you're injured. And then you're sitting here bored by yourself all day because your family doesn't care or notice you enough to bother talking to you. It's not fun. And I'm not saying that as like, oh yeah, they don't care about me. I'm saying like, no, they really don't. That is something I should get into when I'm in my psychology side of my channel. It's gonna call this, but it doesn't matter because these things are irritating. I don't want it to steal my crap. Oh, text. Nope, never mind. It's just record keeper. Screw you, record keeper. Go away. On the plus side, I'm so happy I only have one party member left who doesn't have their third level cap broken in there. It's just Squall. Everyone else has theirs. I got Vincent's today. There's an event open where I can get one, but not... How should I put it? My party isn't strong enough. I need better equipment. I need better moats. I have, like, decent equipment, but I never get anything relevant to my party in Relic Drops. Right, I was gonna actually have a theme to this. I figured since I'm by myself and my commentary is crappy by myself and I'm just grinding, which isn't going to be interesting, I'm going to use the grinding as a backdrop. Because I was going to start doing character analysis things, because my favorite channel on YouTube at the moment is Weeby News, who does character analysis of Danganronpa characters. I've done a lot of research into Final Fantasy VII stuff, so I know a lot about these characters, but my videos won't have as much, like, pictures and actual references. I'll link everything I'm referencing in the description and shit, but I don't have the editing skills or the software presently to go much farther than that. I was going to start off with probably the most popular character in the franchise worldwide. I know in Japan, the entire Final Fantasy franchise, out of all the polls, Cloud always comes out as the most popular, but I think worldwide it's not Cloud, it's probably Sephiroth, so I'm gonna be discussing him today. It might be for slightly clickbaity reasons, because like the only person who watches my videos is my boyfriend. I have one video with 26 views because he decided he felt bad that I wasn't getting views, so he refreshed the page 26 times. Yeah. I love him, but what the fuck? It was kind of funny, but at the same time I look at it and I'm sad because I look at that and I get excited and then I remember, oh yeah, those aren't actual people, that's just him refreshing it. So, back to... See, this is the reason why I should probably get some money and invest it into better editing software. I get off track so easily. Blame my extroverted intuition. I think that's the trait that causes me to do this as my secondary, so And I'm getting off onto a psychology. Okay, I'm just gonna... I should have made a list of talking points. Foresight is never the best. Hindsight is 20/20. But... dude, like... I had talking points in my head before I started recording and I can't think of any of them now. I know I was reading on TV tropes. Oh gosh, I need to stay off that website. I'm on there way too often, rereading and going through things and studying up on the different tropes they talk about, and they had a page on Crisis Core. And in the fridge section, I think they put it down as fridge brilliance. They mentioned something about in the scene when you're in Nibelheim, how in that version there's no smirk when Sephiroth's walking through the fire, and that they think it's because Cloud probably imagined it there since he was going through a traumatic event. But on the contrary, I have kind of a different thought, that it probably is absent more because Zack was closer to him and didn't want to think of him as being sadistic. It's not like any one of those three. You know, the three original soldiers. I don't think any of them were, well, maybe Angel. They weren't really good people even when they were quote-unquote sane, as far as I'm aware. I know they were better people before the insanity, but, like, I don't know, they didn't strike me as being these... I read a lot of fanfiction, and I always feel like the pre-game stuff really misrepresents Sephiroth the way he is. Because, I don't know, I always see people saying, well, it's acting like it's the media in there and the people that are portraying him as being some stoic thing and that he's really super sweet, and I'm like, I feel like it's the other way around, because even in the fan club, they're always going on and on about stupid shit like him playing pin the sword on the dumb apple or some shit with his friends and what shampoo he uses, and like, these are things that would be humanizing. These aren't things that portray him as a soldier with no feelings, right? Like, even in the game, it kind of contradicts this way that everyone sort of, I don't know, it's just, it's kind of a weird disconnect to me, because I'm thinking, when you see someone in the news that's like that, even if the media tries to paint them in a cool light of, look how cool they are, they have no feelings, unless it's a fictional character, you're not gonna like them for it. You're gonna look at them and think, oh wow, what an asshole. Like, people don't epitomize that kind of shit. Unless you're Simon Cowell, who gets away with it because he's funny. He's a funny, sarcastic kind of asshole, not a smug... not smug, cold, and standoffish, right? I know a lot of those people in real life, and they push everyone away. I doubt that if you were trying to make someone famous and make them the poster boy of your company, you present them in a way that made them as distant and standoffish as possible. I don't see that being a thing. And even in Crisis Core, you get a lot of scenes with them where I like how everyone's always saying that before he went insane, he wasn't so, what's the word? Full of himself, egotistical. I guess smug, as Genesis puts it during the fight. Hell, one of his best friends called him smug, and it didn't sound the least bit sarcastic when he said it. But, I don't think so, because, like I said, Genesis called him smug during that fight, and he was acting so high and mighty the whole time, too. Like, the hero thing, when Genesis made his comment about wanting to be a hero and wanting to replace him, and Sephiroth's like, whatever, go ahead and try. Just brushes him off. Anything he appears in a spin-off, he's always that way to everyone. Even with Sora, when you beat him, he just kind of... whatever. You won. I didn't expect it, but doesn't matter, right? He brushes you off after you fucking beat him. Then there's that fucking DMW memory you can get when you get Octoslash sometimes, where Zack's sitting there and he's about to go fight a behemoth, or 2 behemoths or something, I think it is. And he says, "Leave this one to me, I got it." And right as he goes to attack, they're already dead and Sephiroth's just sitting there smirking. And then Zack gets upset because he's being a show-off. Like, he was still a show-off, he was still full of himself. He just wasn't on a world-destroying montage, I guess. Not montage. He wasn't completely insane yet. I mean, even in Dissidia, Furion hints that something about him being created for the sake of fighting makes him so that he only really gets any kind of thrill or enjoyment if he's fighting. His eyes only light up in battle, I think is what the quote is. And he has a point. He was literally created for battle. He grew up, he was a fucking child soldier. You've gotta imagine that, as traumatic as that must be, it doesn't really excuse how fucked up he turned out. Right? It's not like he didn't have some positive things to balance it out. He had friends. He had a lot of people that practically worshipped him and shit. He didn't seem to care so much about that part. In fact, it seems kinda like he seems so happy when he's fighting people too, after that experience, that you kinda have to imagine that it didn't affect him in the traumatic way it would most people. Because he's not the way, or he doesn't have the same thinking patterns as people. Remember, when he's in the flashback and even in the original events, when they're shown in Crisis Core, he mentions that he always felt like he was above everyone else, even when he was a kid. Oh look, I gained it. That's why I never get when people try to humanize him. Like, he's never really been human. Even Square Enix is just straight up dropped in some of the guides, some of the Ultimanias. I think the reunion files even mentioned something. You know, the official book about Advent Children. On the Way to a Smile, they all mention something as him not being human, him not being remotely human. He doesn't breathe, he doesn't bleed, he doesn't blink. Square said in an interview with Famitsu, I think, that they went out of their way to make sure he didn't do that. I don't understand why people always... No, I didn't want to say level 1. Shit. Always go on about that. And then you've got this stupid theory still that... I don't understand this one. A lot of fanfiction writers that I like fall into it, and it makes me sad. A lot of people I know believe it. I'm in so many Facebook groups that talk about it. Or, like, have debates about it. And the vast majority of people, I guess, haven't read the Ultimanias, or any of the books, really. Like, On the Way to a Smile, Sephiroth's goals are manifested as purely his own. He makes a very big point in all of the games, all of the spin-off games, even in fucking Mobius. He makes a point to call out just how powerful his own will is. He literally says, even if he's destroyed along with Palamecia, that he's going to bring himself and Cloud back. Right? With willpower alone. It's... I mean, not only is that just his ego, but he's proven time and time again that he is capable of doing that. That's what the whole point of On the Way to a Smile and Advent Children was. He literally used his willpower and memories of Cloud to bring himself back to life. I don't think someone like that could potentially be controlled by anyone else ever. I mean, it's pretty much expressly stated in the Ultimania that he was controlling her. From what I remember. I'd have to look at that passage again, but it just... the whole argument confuses me. I mean, I like to think sometimes that, you know, even if she is a corpse, it's shown that, you know, her body will regenerate and shit. So maybe there is something left in there, and maybe... I don't know. But she's been trapped underground for like 1,000 years. I don't know... I feel like no matter what you are, that'd be a little bit, a bit of an effect on mental health and shit, so... I got a text. I'm confused by text. What? I feel like if anything, she'd be more easily manipulated than he would, even in that situation. Because he went and jumped straight from being scared at the thought that he was a monster to immediately overriding it, thinking he was gonna just go ahead and become God instead. That was his immediate reaction. It wasn't anything like his friends, where they're like, I have to find redemption, I have to kill myself before I hurt anyone. No, it was... Alright, time to take over the world. Like... I don't know, it's just... I don't understand. There's so many people. I've never gotten it. When I was younger, it used to frustrate the hell out of me. It still does, but I've learned to accept that people are the way they are, and I can't change that. I don't know, I felt like making a video talking about it, because... why? I just want to know, like, I know I've seen people actually say in blogs before, when I've been Google searching blogs and shit and I found things, I have seen people actually say that they just don't like what Square Enix has come out and said because they find him attractive. Like, it's not even a straw man. I mean, I said this in a author note on a fanfic I wrote before I even knew people had actually said it, I just assumed that was why. But I have actually found people saying that. The blog I found was so long ago, I don't think I'll be able to tag that in the description, but... I think it was on TV Tropes that I saw it, though. Someone legitimately said they didn't think that was the case because they thought he was too attractive to be evil, and they didn't want him to be evil. And I think a large part of it, the TV Tropes trope for it is Draco in leather pants, but there's a psychology term called the halo effect, in which you refuse to believe someone is as evil or as malignant as they truly are because they are pretty. Pretty good example of this in another fandom is Junko Enoshima. Everyone knows she's fucked up and psychotic. Nobody hates her. Why? Because she's super attractive and funny and just what? How is she so fucked up? You see her do some of these most screwed up things in the world entirely because she was bored and didn't think she had anything better to do. And then... just, it's impossible to hate her because she's attractive. I've seen people excusing her actions because her ultimate analysis talent, which really doesn't make up for anything. I mean, Izuru has that talent too, and yeah, he started off crazy, but that's because she was the first outside experience he had from the people that experimented on him. As soon as he saw other things, he was like, you know what, maybe hope is a better option. I think I like Chiaki. I'm a bit upset that she died. Right. Sorry, that was spoilers. That was really bad spoilers. I'd edit that out, but I don't have the stuff to do it. I'll put a note in the description about that. Alright, while this battle's going, I'm gonna reply to this text. So that's the thing, too, is everyone always makes the excuse as well of, well, he was experimented on, so he can't help that he's probably traumatized by that, but then it's so heavily implied that he's forgotten all of it, or that he just didn't care about it enough. And like I said, he mentions that even when he was a kid, he always thought he was above everyone else. That's before he goes insane that he says that, so... I mean, he's definitely got some kind of, maybe narcissism with traits of borderline, traits of antisocial, or maybe antisocial with narcissistic tendencies. He's got some kind of personality disorder inherent to him. It's just that once he fully went off the deep end, it manifested even stronger. I want to say, if he has antisocial, he's probably more of a sociopath than a psychopath, because he does seem fully capable of making attachments, right? He's very much attached to his two friends, so much so that their going insane was part of what made him go insane. He gets pretty attached to Zach. No matter what context you're gonna take it in, whether it's super strong hate, whether it's a yaoi context with all that foyer dialogue, because damn, there's a lot. Whether it's just some weird obsession caused by DNA stuff and shared history and whatever, he is very, very being obsessed with Cloud. You can see it. Anytime he's in anything else, any spin-off, Cloud's always there. He's always focused solely on messing with him, doesn't really talk to or care about anyone else. Even Mobius, they shade this, they lampshaded this by saying, there was dialogue, I think, where Echo and Warrior of Light were talking to each other, and he said that he noticed from the beginning that Sephiroth didn't seem interested in them, he only seemed interested in Cloud. That was, like, the only thing that it was really obvious that was what he was after. Right? So the obsession is very, very clearly there. He makes comments in Mobius a lot, too, about how he's never gonna kill him. And then you've got the weird crap in Dissidia where he's, like, some weird subliminal shit. Weird backwards talk, trying to... Like, that weird line in the Shade Impulse cutscene where he pretty much says he owns him, but the dialect is weird. Like, the syntax is all screwed up, the sentence is kind of got a Yoda structure going on. And there's the weird stuff he says in the normal cutscene where he's talking about guiding him forever, he says. Then there's the Mobius thing where he talks about bringing him back if he dies. Then you have Kingdom Hearts, where the whole thing he does is, you fight him in 2, he immediately brushes you off and tells you to bring Cloud to him, and it's like, okay. And the first thing he asks you, every time you see him, all he ever talks about is Cloud. And it's not like this is inherently one-sided or anything, because even in the actual game, there is so much dialogue on Cloud's side that's like, what are you doing? That's not why we're here to find him. Granted, his has a little bit more reason behind it. It's a bit more understandable, because, I mean, mind control, bullshit, all the crap that happened to him that makes, a bit more of the subliminal part of just the cells themselves making him want to go there. But he mentions that even when he was younger, I don't remember, TV Tropes said they took this line out of the actual game. When we get to the Calm flashback, I'll figure that out. I know I've seen it referenced in fanfics before, but apparently it was a cutout line where he says that his mom thought he was hopeless because he thought about Sephiroth so much as a kid that he even dreamed about him. I think TV Tropes had that listed under Foyer, too. Yeah. It was either listed under Foyer or Hoye, but it counts as both. Which amused me. Because I was like, oh. Huh. You've got the way that, like, when we get to the calm flashback, that's gonna be shown again. When he's talking about him and all he can do is talk about how fucking strong and amazing he is and just... They both have weird obsessions with each other. It's not a one-sided thing. As much as they both try to make it out like it's only the other person, oh gosh, especially in Dissidia. Especially in Dissidia. But I mean, in Dissidia, I think there was a couple lines about it in Mobius, in Kingdom Hearts. Advent Children had a few things where Sephiroth specifically was like going on about how Cloud's never gonna let go of the past. And by that, it's pretty clear he means himself, right? I mean, he could also be lampshading the fact that it took him forever to get over Aerith's death, but he did eventually get over that. It's clear that he's talking about himself when you realize that he's got the, weird thing about getting him in the same spots over and over again just to make him remember him better. Especially when you also think about On the Way to a Smile when he's... His dialogue is so creepy. His like, thought dialogue in that. I don't know why I'm just still killing things. I'm supposed to be getting limit breaks. I can't gain Omnislash yet by doing that. Yeah. So On the Way to a Smile, he talks about, in the case of the livestream Black, he talks about Cloud so much. Anytime his thoughts start getting anywhere, they immediately revert back to Cloud. Which makes sense. He's made Cloud pretty much the center of his entire existence. Made him what anchors him to life and crap, but the fact that he picked Cloud of all things is also pretty telling. It's not like there weren't other things he could latch onto. So there were a lot of other things he could have, but just the dialogue about... All of it was about making him remember things, making him notice him, getting Cloud's attention, wanting him to see that he's doing things. I think in one of the lines he even mentions... let me see. I can pull it up on my phone. I'll get the livestream.net translation of it. And that is a great website, by the way. There's translations of fucking everything on there. Translations of the novels, translations of the Ultimanias, translations of the cut scenes from the game. I'm tempted to get an account so I can comment on things. Nobody ever seems to be on that website anymore. The articles have become really sparse. And it makes me sad, because I like reading them. I used to have... It's the official trailer. Look at the audiobooks. Oh gosh, there was an audiobook that was voiced of Livestream Black and White, and holy shit. The guy they picked for Sephiroth is brilliantly creepy. It captured him very well. I'm gonna have to actually look at the website name. Livestream.net. I need a life. Out of time I've spent reading shit on this website too. I don't want the news part. Load up the rest of the page, please. Phew. No, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to reload again. Look, Cloud's not even visible on the screen. There he is. This is taking forever. I'll just link to the audiobook. It's creepy. It's obsessive and creepy. It's also great to read The Case of Tifa, because you learn some really interesting things about Cloud. Like, it kind of vaguely hints that he's an alcoholic. It mentions that him and Tifa actually have separate bedrooms. It details a lot of her feelings about how she's in love with him and he's kind of distant from her all the time. It details how he got Fenrir. I know a lot of people think that Fenrir is the Hardy Daytona that he gets when he's escaping Shinra headquarters, but it's a completely different type of bike. The Hardy Daytona is based off of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, which are always choppers, and Fenrir looks closer to like a Kawasaki speed bike type of model, right? It's not a chopper, it's not a hog, it doesn't have the handlebars that look like an actual bicycle, it's a crotch rocket, as my boyfriend would call it. It's a very different type of motorcycle. In fact, he found it in a junkyard completely trashed, and he got Sid and a bunch of Sid's mechanic friends to teach him how to take care of it. And he edited it all himself. He read a lot of books, too. That's a thing to note, that he apparently reads a lot of things and can learn crap really quickly. I know I'm now turning this into a Cloud analysis and just talking about general stuff, but I ran out of points to talk about with Sephiroth, so I'm just gonna analyze them both. But he, like, on his desk in Advent Children, he has a couple medical books. It's where he was reading them, trying to teach himself how to become a doctor so he could take care of Denzel, right? In there, it talks about him reading books on mechanics to teach himself mechanics. I got excited when I saw those little details and noticed things like that, and had them brought up in like blog posts and things that I've read before. And because it made me happy. I was like, well, I already related to him fairly well for a lot of reasons about him and his character in this game. Just a lot of really personal things I don't want to go into, but I've always found him a relatable character, and then learning that he does that kind of thing where he gets a pet project taken on, winds up having to help someone, or wanting to help someone, so he immediately goes out of his way to teach himself a skill by reading about it. I do that all the time. I have always done that. When I was a kid, I wanted to know how to take better care of my cats, so I read a bunch of non-fiction books on cats. And I can tell you the difference between most cat breeds. Right. I got fascinated by geology when I was in elementary school, so I convinced my dad to buy me old college textbooks about geology, and I read them. I got made fun of for knowing the difference between different types of Foldsgore when I was a kid. I was obsessed with rock compositions. It's a really weird thing. I used to collect rocks too, and I still have a lot of like gemstones and crap in my room. Those little collector's bags you get in like touristy places. So it's something relatable. It's definitely it's probably just a thinking type trait in general. If I remember correctly, Cloud's Myers-Briggs type being an ISTP is the most similar type to my type, without being an actual INTP. We have a lot of similar functions and things. So, function-wise, we'd be really similar. That does make it make a lot more sense. And he also has the traits that I dislike in, or doesn't have the traits that I dislike in myself, which is probably why, as a character, I epitomize him so much, but it's that ISTP thing that makes him... I think it was the significant difference between an INTP and an ISTP is that an ISTP will take what they've learned and apply it to show their feelings rather than visualizing and talking about them. Whereas an INTP will pick up a skill to prove that they can and show their feelings more, because we have extroverted feeling. I think we both have extroverted feeling, it's just that his SI is stronger than mine would be. I don't know, he might be introverted feeling, I need to look it up. But his sensing trait is stronger than mine, so I think his feeling is too. Which is why he'll still bottle things up, but he's a bit more capable of using actions to represent his feelings, whereas when I get in an emotional state, I either fall into routine or just have a full-blown panic attack. Ugh. It's bad. It's probably an INTP thing. I've noticed that a lot of people do it that are INTPs that I know. They bottle up things because they're too awkward to talk about them. I've seen it talked about on Myers-Briggs sites before. So that's a definite thing. He can definitely do that, too, since most introverts do tend to bottle things in. That is very much an introvert thing, since your tertiary function will always be introverted if you have an introverted first primary function, and every introverted type has that. So when your tertiary is your defense, that's gonna cause a lot of that. Sephiroth being an INTJ would make his tertiary introverted feeling, which means he'd bottle things up until he exploded, which clearly is the case with him. That is what drove him to insanity. I'm gonna look up what ISTPs are, because that's something I need for this. Function. Kill the stupid bandit, those are annoying. Yeah, his third is introverted intuition, which is my second. So I can tell you with a lot of experience that... Oh no, my second is the opposite of that one. So he has the same traits as me, except the type... Or no, his sensing and intuition are the opposite. He has the same weakest trait of FE that I have, same primary trait of TI. But I have NE and SI and they're in the opposite places. So, yeah, NI would be finding patterns in your own thought process, I think. Because introverted traits are to self, so... It's probably... I'll figure that out later, but... It's something along those lines. I have a friend that explained this to me very easily and simply, and I've watched videos on it, but traits that aren't my own I don't know as much about. I know a lot about INTJs because I'm dating one. That's why I can analyze Sephiroth a little easier. ISTPs are a personality type I tend to epitomize, or not epitomize, I tend to, what is the word? I tend to put ISTPs on a pedestal because they have everything I like about myself and none of the things I don't. They have a reputation for being daredevils, for being kind of stoic. And I can be, especially when I'm in public around people I don't know. But for someone that's very outwardly stoic, I do have a lot of, Now this is just turning into me psychoanalyzing myself. Back on track. It's the alcoholism thing, and then there's... I mean, I don't need to tell you that he's gone through a lot of shit. Anyone who's played the original game can tell you at least most of the shit he's gone through. Best friend died, girlfriend died, other girlfriend, childhood friend, whatever, wasn't really friends with him as a kid. Can be kinda shallow at times. Tries her best, but she's not the most understanding person. If I recall correctly, she's an INFP? Which would make it really hard for them to understand each other because those types have a very, very low rate of, they have a very... Their functions are so inverse to each other that I believe on the relationships chart they're one of the least likely pairings, but even those do happen a lot. Even the person who created that chart says it's not always accurate, because she's an INFP, I believe, that got with someone that was not... not an easy person to get along with for INFPs. It just takes maturity. Something which both of them definitely need to work on, especially looking at their relationship from Advent Children. Tifa tends to have a bit of a hopeless romantic thing to her. Basically trails after him all the time. Just bit of high expectations. She tends to kind of see him more as what she thinks he could be than what he actually is. And then he has the problem of he's just been through a lot of crap. He's really, really hardened and bad at showing emotions, and she seems like someone who, being extremely in tune with them and sensitive to them, needs to be reassured that she's still liked. They touched on that and On the Way to a Smile, when she was repeatedly asking him if he loved her or not, and he didn't ever respond. Especially since it's been shown that he's a very socially awkward person underneath that, well, the way he is right now, since we're in the beginning of the game still. Where he's still got his cocky ex-soldier persona going on. That hasn't been shattered yet. Actual Cloud hasn't come out yet. We don't get to see the shy, polite little tiny thing that just I want to protect. Boyfriend and I were rewatching a couple scenes from Advent Children, and I made a comment of, his face just looks so perpetually sad. I want to hug him and tell him everything will be alright, even though I know it won't, because holy shit. I think the universe has something against him. Poor Cloud. Ugh. His life is the worst thing. I wouldn't wish the shit that happens to him on anyone. So it's no wonder he's so messed up. I mean, like I said, best friend, person he idolized when insane, lost everything he had, everything he cared about. He had nothing for a while, except for Zack, and then he lost Zack. It's no shit, no wonder he lost all his memories, created a new personality, and wandered off. It was so easily manipulated. Like, damn. And then everyone says, oh, he got better towards the end of the game. I don't think that's the case. I think it was more a case of, I need to avenge her so I feel better. And then I'm gonna go off in a tone after that. And it was more of a, he got himself together enough to fight issue. And even in On the Way to a Smile, they mentioned that he was doing better for a while. Tifa thought he was definitely on an incline, his mental health was improving. He was being more talkative and friendly and less unsure of himself, and then he started leaving again, and she noticed that he had a request from Elmira to deliver flowers to Aerith's grave. A couple months ago, right around the time when he started disappearing. And that's when it becomes obvious of, oh shit, it's a relapse because he was reminded of what happened. It's a typical thing with PTSD. it can get triggered by things like that and be brought back, even if it's supposedly been handled. That's why I don't get a lot of people being upset about his rather depressive nature in Advent Children. Towards the end of the game, you see that in him. I think that most people just didn't notice that the way he acts at the beginning of the game isn't really him. It's a combination of insanity and defense mechanisms. Because, I mean, even towards the end of Disc 1, you see that starting to fade. Aerith's trying to get in and help him, and it's working, because you can see small bits of shyness and awkwardness coming out around her. You can see, like, even in Crisis Core, he was super shy. He was more friendly, but he was still awkward, kinda shy. Gonna have to heal. Before Crisis as well, he didn't have any self-esteem. He was simply a, well, I'm required to do this, so I'm going to do it kind of person. Alright, you need to heal. That's kind of, like, that's the few parts of his personality you can tell stayed of, I'm not gonna do anything I'm not required to do. In Dissidia, there was that whole thing of him being unsure of himself because he didn't have a reason to fight. It's a big thing with him. Not wanting to do things for no reason, and I think that's definitely an ISTP thing. And it makes sense, because after having so much crap, being so afraid of going insane, because, I mean, who wouldn't be after going through that kind of crap? After all the shit Sephiroth's done to try and make him go insane. I feel like having a very clear and defined purpose is a good thing to him, because it means he's not fighting just for the sake of fighting, which is something that doesn't really, it's not something that sane people do. Alright. This is 48 minutes. I think I've touched on both of them a lot. I might add, like, more details and something later, but I think that's enough. I covered a lot of crap. I'll put down articles and crap in the comments, or in the comments, in the thing, in the description. That's what it is. I'm beginning to get tired of the sound of my own voice. Not beginning, I'm always tired of the sound of my own voice, so I'm just gonna turn off now.